Could history be repeating itself with raids and overzealous prosecutors seeking fame and glory? In the Washington Examiner this week, Mark Vargas cited the fate of former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich of Illinois. The Democrat is serving a 14-year sentence for corruption. Vargas argued that the governor was the victim of overzealous prosecution by then U.S. Attorney Patrick Fitzgerald, who the writer called Jim Comey's best friend, and that it was then FBI Director Bob Mueller who in 2008 authorized a totally unnecessary and ruthless pre-dawn raid of the governor. Here with us exclusively are Blagojevich's wife, Patti, and Chicago attorney Len Goodman, who represents the former governor. It's great to see both of you. Patti, your husband's been in jail for now 7 years of a 14-year sentence. He was convicted of on a couple of different corruption charges, was bribery and extortion, I believe. And I think when people hear that, they think, oh, he must have taken a bribe. He must have promised to do something for someone giving him money, and he must have been heard, or there must have been documentary evidence saying all that. But in fact, none of that happened.
No, none of that at all. You know, Laura, for me, listening to your show, it's almost like Yogi Berra says, it's deja vu all over again. You know, 10 years ago, these same people, Comey, Fitzgerald, Mueller, used these out-of-control prosecutors and FBI agents, came after my husband with their unchecked power to undo an election by the people. They came after my husband like this. These people are so far from Eliot Ness, they're a million light years away. And these are politically motivated opportunists who use their offices for their own personal enrichment, to further their careers, to sell books.
I don't think Bob Mueller needs. Yeah, I don't think Bob Mueller needs to further his career. I mean, he's been FBI director. He's, you know, he's esteemed by Republicans and Democrats. However, he also authorized, and Lana, you can get in on this. He did authorize a raid that was kind of reminiscent of both Manafort and Michael Cohen. This like pre-dawn raid. The kids are there. You know, everyone's shaking. They're afraid, and they go in and they kind of, you know, take everything out of the apartment. Same thing happened with you guys.
Completely unnecessary, of course. In a white-collar case, they could have called the lawyer, and Rod would have come down and surrendered. To do that to his two young children was disgraceful.
And I think, look, you know, we have to remember that Patrick Fitzgerald, for people who are watching, who will say, why are you talking about this guy, Patrick Fitzgerald? Well, he's representing Jim Comey right now. They're best buddies going back to the 80s, working in the Southern District of New York. There he is. He went after Scooter Libby, outrageous prosecution. He went after Conrad Black, the core part of that conviction, ultimately overturned by the Supreme Court. And, of course, not once but 2 times, they tried Blagojevich. And the court, sadly, didn't take the case a couple of weeks ago when they could have cleared up this ridiculous federal bribery statute, which is extremely confusing, wide enough to, you know, drive a truck through. And yet he's praised for being, he's the most esteemed person. He did the Enron investigation and the Enron case, but there were problems there, too. Andrew Weissman overstepped it with Arthur Anderson. Arthur Anderson ends up getting, exonerated. Meanwhile, they laid off 85,000 people in the interim. So, like, people hear prosecutor and they think, oh, they're civil servants. They're protecting us. In some cases, they are. But they have unchecked power oftentimes, and it can be out of control. And I'm sorry, but as I speak as a former criminal defense attorney, Len, I don't want to be on my high horse here as, you know, it's always the defense is always right. It's not. But if they want to get you for something, they will get you.
It's true. And, you know, I mean, Blagojevich was investigated. They began investigating him early on in his administration. He and his family endured 5 years of investigation. He sat for 2 interviews with the FBI because he was somebody that believed in the system and believed that they were, you know, interested in doing right. As Patti said, he was never took a bribe, never took a kickback, never tried to enrich his family. He's one of the only elected officials that has ever been prosecuted for corruption based on political acts, fundraising, and doing political deals. They went after him. You know, they have when the federal government invests resources and their credibility in making the case that somebody is corrupt.
What happens,
they will do
Len?
whatever it
what
takes.
happens, Len, if their job is to prosecute, and you come up empty? Like when you finish the investigation,
They
you
can't.
think, well,
They can't.
He didn't take a bribe, he didn't fly in a fancy jet, he didn't take vacations on someone else's dime, but the court is going to convince a jury to say, he believed that he might have to do something that a donor wanted him to do. That's crazy. Bob McDonnell got ultimately exonerated for that.
Right.
The states have a patchwork. But look, we can't relitigate your whole case tonight. But I have to say to the people watching, Bob Mueller, Jim Comey, and Patrick Fitzgerald, just because they're smart guys and went to great schools and have done some good stuff in their careers, doesn't mean they always get it right. And if you're overzealous and you have a history of being overzealous in high-profile cases, we just listed 3: Patrick Fitzgerald with Conrad Black, with Scooter Libby, and now his pal Comey and the involvement in this. You got to start asking tough questions. And Patty, I'll let you speak. I know you have a heavy heart and a lot on your mind. But if you could tell Donald Trump one thing other than pardon your husband or commute a sentence, what would you tell him about Bob Mueller, your experience with him?
Well, I mean, I think the president knows that when people have unchecked power, it's a very dangerous thing. And the role, we believed in the courts, and we believed that the court system was going to work properly. And so if and that, unfortunately, our trust was misplaced. We thought the justice system was going to work. We believed that people operated in truly and honest, with true and honest motives, and we were sadly mistaken. And this is something that he's seen now, unfortunately, what we've gone through 10 years ago and what we've been going through for the last 10 years. This is, if they can bring down my husband, who is the governor of the 5th largest state, for asking for campaign contributions, absolutely no one is safe in this country. Not a single donor is safe, and not a single politician who has to ask for campaign contributions is safe.
Thank you both for being here tonight, telling your story, and President.
Thank you.
Litigating the case in the press is very difficult, but at some point, I guess they feel like they have no other option, given the enormity of the special counsel's office, the power they have, the manpower they have. They got a lot of legal eagles working for them, and now Trump has beefed up his team. So I guess it's bring it on. Thanks to both of you.